Hi, my name is Phil Tompkinson, Technical Director here at i2B. Today I'm going to take you through a training session as an admin user for a client of ours who are using our i2B software for requisition approval. We're going to go through delegation of approval, creating new approvers, editing approvers limits, removing approvers from the system completely. Okay, let's get started. To access all the processes we're going to go through today, access is made through the same process within i2B. First, you log into i2B as an admin user, click on your username at the top of the screen, and then click on the company option. Once there, click on the company or region name that you want to update. Please note that there will be a UAT environment, which is a testing and training company, and also a live environment for each one. You can practice these processes in UAT first if you want to check that everything is okay and performing well before doing this in live. Once viewing the company settings, click on the RFQ requisition options heading, and then click on the plus option next to the word approvers, which will have a number in it, which is the number of approvers you have currently set up. Let me show you this now in our client Greco's testing environment. So first, log in. Now remember, if you have access to the single sign-on environment within your company, you can use this login with Microsoft, but I'm going to log in manually here. From the name at the top, click on your name, click on company. From here, find the company that you want to administer or update. Click on their name. And then from this screen, first click on the RFQ requisitions option heading. Scroll down a little bit. And then here you will see the approvers, and in there, in the brackets, the number of approvers that you currently have set up. And just click on the plus icon here, and you'll be taken through to a list of your approvers. Okay, so all the processes that we are now going to go through follow the same path, and they all start from this point. Okay, let me go back to the PowerPoint here and continue. So the first thing we're going to do is go through approver delegation. This is when an approver is going to go on leave or vacation or will be unavailable for a period of time. You can delegate their approvals to another person, and that person will receive their requests for approvals while they're unavailable. All you need to do is from the list, click on the approver's name and enter into the delegated name and delegated email address boxes, and then just click on the update button here. I'll just show you how to do this within a Greco's training environment. So as I mentioned, find the approver who's going to be unavailable, click on their name. So I'll just click on a random one here, which is David. You'll see here we have two boxes, one for the delegated name and one for the delegated email address. All we do here is enter in the person who will approve requisitions on David's behalf. So let's say someone called Chris Smith, and then Chris's email address goes in here. Then all we do is click on update. Okay, if I go back in to look at David's approver record, we can see here that the delegated name is updated and the delegated email address is updated. So any requests for approval that were being sent to David will now be sent on to Chris in David's absence. Once David returns back to work and is available to approve again, simply a case of going back into his record and removing from here the delegated name and delegated email address and clicking on update. Okay, just go through that process one more time. Let's just select Chris here and click on update. And what you can see here is on the very first screen, which lists all the approvers, there's two columns. One's the approver's email address. These are just test training email addresses. Obviously that would normally be David Hollywood's email address. And we can see here the delegated email address column. So we can sort by that, and we can see immediately which approvers currently have delegated email switched on. In this case, obviously it's just David. What I can do is I'll just reset David's account, remove Chris, click on update, and that's it done. Okay, so that's delegation. We go back to the PowerPoint. We'll go through the process now of actually creating a new approver within your system. You need to follow two steps. First step is to create the approver within your company or region environment. To do that, from the list of approvers that we're currently looking at a second ago, click on the Add button, and this pops up a new menu onto the screen, new form, where you enter in their name, email address, telephone number, and then we click on Add. Second step, once you've created the approver, is to actually give them some approval limits. And to do that, there's just a few drop downs that we need to select with an approval limit and the currency, and then we click on Add. Let me again demonstrate this within our client's test environment. So click on Add, enter in the approver's name, email, and telephone number. So let's create someone called Julie Jones. Julie Jones, email address, telephone number. You could just put not applicable for now. Click on Add. That creates Julie as an approver within the system. What we can then do is actually give some approval limits to Julie. Okay, so these drop downs may be slightly different depending on your setup. For example, for this environment, we're asked for the warehouse code and the item type and the approval limit for that combination. So I can select, well, Julie's allowed to approve within warehouse EB0 and is allowed to approve stock purchases up to a value of 1000 GBP. And click on Add. You can see there that this starts to populate this section here. So we can see that Julie, warehouse EB0, stock type, approval limit of 1000 GBP. If I've entered that in by mistake, I can just click on the delete button here, and that will remove that limit against that approver. Okay. What you'll also see down the bottom here is an audit trail starting to generate. It records the username and just some comments about what's just occurred there. So initially we added an approval limit for that combination of warehouse, item type and value, and then we deleted it. But what you can do here is obviously add, so we can say warehouse. Maybe you could just say any item type within that warehouse. Julie is allowed to approve up to £5,000. Add that. But for another warehouse, say ED5, she's only allowed to approve up to 100 GBP and add. You'll also notice that we have a drop down on currency as well. This currency drop down is generated automatically, or the options within that drop down are generated automatically depending on the company or region I'm currently looking at. So it just shows me the valid currencies within that particular region. So what I can do also is say, for example, ED5, any item type 100 GBP, we could say, well, ED5, if the requisition is for non-stock, maybe Julie can go for 50,000 Norwegian krona perhaps, and click on add. So you can see here we can start setting up this matrix, and it can be as easy or straightforward as you'd like it to be. So you could say any warehouse, any item type, Julie's allowed to go up to 10,000 GBP, or you can be very specific and say particular warehouses, particular item types. Other company settings may revolve around regions, divisions, etc. It all depends on how your particular company or region is configured. Okay, so that's how we set up an approver within the system. Okay, so approver and editing their limits. So it may well be that you've got an existing approver within your system and you want to change the limits that they're allowed to approve up to. Okay, it's very simple. So it's going back to the demo environment, training environment that we've got. So let's say that initially Julie was allowed to approve up to 50,000 Norwegian krona for ED5. If that changes or increases, what we first need to do is delete the existing one. So we'll just delete that row. Do you want to delete this limit? Yes. So it's ED5 non-stock. And then what we do is go, okay, ED5 non-stock, and we can set up a new approval limit. So let's say that's now 60,000. Click on add. Simple as that. Okay. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. The last thing that you might want to do is actually remove an approver from the system. We can do this in two ways. We access their approver account, and there's a delete button at the top of the page. What actually happens there, if you just delete the approver from the system, for auditing purposes, the approver remains within the system, but is marked as inactive and deleted. The other option, of course, would be to remove all their approval limits from within the system. Again, let me demonstrate this within our client's test environment. Two ways to delete Julie. Firstly, we can just delete or remove her approval limits from here. So we'll just delete these one at a time. There you go. So that's basically removed all of Julie's approval limits within the system. Julie will no longer appear or be able to approve any requisitions within i2B. The other option is just to remove Julie completely from the approvers list. Just click on the delete button here. What that does, if you notice here, is it leaves Julie in the system, again for auditing purposes, but it just marks her status as deleted. Simple as that. Okay. That brings us to the end of the training session around approvers. As always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to get in touch. The easiest way is just to drop an email to our support desk. The email address is there on the screen, supportdesk@i2b-online.com. When you email our support desk, it will generate a support ticket automatically, and one of our support personnel, depending on the time zone, whether that's in the UK, Australia, or the US, will get back in touch with you. I hope you found this training video informative, and thank you for your time.